What was the Morgan Library replica? I remember we made it in India, but what was the? I don't remember what it was.
Yeah, well,
What were we replicating?
so we've had a lot of experience with historic rugs, and we've done a lot of work over the years for museums. But the one that you and I did together, right, was at the Pierpont Morgan Library,
Yeah.
and the original rug was a Mached that my great grandfather sold to Pierpont Morgan, and it stayed in his library. I don't know if you've ever been there.
Yeah.
Of course.
Well,
So it's an amazing, like that big room in the middle with the bookshelves all around. It's
very impressive.
It's spectacular, and I think arguably one of the best collections of books ever at the time in private hands. And so the rug was a very significant part of how the room looked. And we restored that rug. We were asked to restore it in 1982. So I did a job for, like, at the time, $30,000 restoring it. And then years later, it was like, okay, it's beyond repair. What do we do? And that's when we got the call.
Yeah, it was like 90 feet long, right?
No.
Wasn't that?
I think it was 45.
He was huge.
I mean, 45 by 25.
Yeah. So we actually we'll put them up. We have the photos of us delivering that rug, and I think we had like 9 or 10 guys.
I would say
10 years ago.
Yeah.
This was a good 10 years ago.
About 10 years ago
when they did the full restoration of the building.
Right. So they renovated the entire building, and part of the reopening was they wanted to have the rug replicated. So I think they gave us 2 years, something like that.
That rug came out beautiful.
Yeah.
I'll tell you, it was in, I just remembered for some odd reason, 2014. It was in 2014 where we received, I remember because, we received the bill from the mill, and I said, "What's this?"
Right.
Well, right before we ship out the carpet, we need payment. So, and that's, we paid them. We received.
Funny how you remember things when you got to pay a big bill, right?
Well, I said, "What?" I saw this bill. I was like, "What is that?" I called Jay. I said, "Phillip, what's this bill?" Oh no, they don't worry, you got to pay that. And because I with the ordering I wasn't involved with the ordering process. You had taken care of all that. Yeah. And then we got the bill and paid it, and then I think like a month later the carpet arrived.
It was
because you had done that a couple of years beforehand.
Right.
Yeah.
So the project started probably in 2012.
Yeah.
And the delivery was 2 years later, I remember. And, obviously it was a series of, like anything like that. It's, replicating, getting the colors correct, getting the drawing correct.
It's a lot of back and forth.
It's just getting the final design, color, weave texture approved. It was about a year.
Yeah, I remember a gentleman by the name of Tom.
Right.
Right.
Tom Shannon.
Tom Shannon.
Yep. Montclair, New Jersey. Yay, Jersey.
Was Tom part of the design approval, or was there another board that you had to meet with too?
I met with a board. Tom was the liaison, but everything that we did was I had to do through the board, and everything had to go through proper board approval, which makes sense. Pierpont Morgan Library is a very famous institution at this point.
So what's the process like getting a board approval of a strike off for a rug of that size?
It's different than an interior designer for sure. Because there's a lot of, like, the board might have had 6 people.
Yeah.
So, I think the biggest challenge in that situation was them deciding who to work with, because there were other people that were bidding on that job. But we had a history with the rug. We sold them the original rug.
Yeah.
We have restored the rug. So we had 100-year history with that institution, which, there's other companies out there that are in the business of making rugs that do it every day. This is not something that we do every day. But I think, to answer your question, that was the biggest thing. Them saying, this is who we want to go with.
Yeah.
And once that was decided and we proved to be able to navigate the waters and come up with the textures and the weave quality and the design and all that stuff, and then the samples, that's another thing, when you're going through that process, you can draw out all these graphics and have the drawing of the rug, but the proof is ultimately in the pudding, in the samples.
Yeah. And the mill did a really good job. They hit it dead on.
Yeah.
Looking at a 1x1 or 1x2 sample, and then looking at a 45-foot rug,
right.
The colors, the weave, the entire, they did an amazing job.
The mill was amazing. I also had someone who is American that had that invested the time at the mill.
Yeah.
So this person also could not have been done without someone going there every couple of months, working and making sure that the details are all taken care of.
Yeah.
It's not something like, I could just email and say, hey, change this color, or, that leaf is a little not drawn well. It has to be done with the person that has a relationship at the mill.
Were you getting progress photos as they were weaving the rug from the mill?
Yeah. It's part of what we agreed to provide to the the Pierpont Morgan Library.
And so that experience went so well that when the Frick
we didn't want to do another one, did we?
Well, we did. We definitely
I'm
did.
just kidding. We would gladly do that again, and for any other institution so if you're out there and you need an antique rug replicated, we do that, and we do it very well.
Yeah. So when the Frick Museum called,
yes,
and it was it's their turn to replicate one of their rugs.
Right. They had heard, they had a relationship with the Pierpont Morgan Library. They themselves did the same thing in terms of they completely renovated the space at the Frick Museum. And part of that was there is a gallery that they have these beautiful, I don't know what the paintings were. They might have been masters paintings, but in the gallery was this 16th century Isfahan that is spectacular, but it's frail.
Yeah.
Shouldn't be walked on.
Yeah.
And they wanted that same essence in the room. So they called to do the same thing.
Same process, strike off, board approval,
right?
Couple of years to make. And
the other part of that job, which is interesting, is you were involved not only with the reproduction of the antique rug, but you were involved in the installation of the carpet at that house.
So that rug was installed, the rug we manufactured was installed over carpeting. But what they wanted to do is, so we had to install the carpeting. It was a forest green. Tufted, heavy, right? Good quality.
Very good weight.
Big room, is a huge room. But what they wanted us to do was to sew the area rug to the carpet. Yeah.
Needle and thread. Can you all see this?
Needle and thread. They wanted us to needle and thread the rug to the carpet that was installed.
Very unusual request.
Yeah, unusual request. So we installed the carpeting. We went and we opened up the rug, and at the time we decided that the right way to do this is to lift up the carpet.
I remember.
So we had to bring in cranes.
Right.
That's how big that wall-to-wall carpet was.
Oh, the rug was 30 by 15, say, and it was like a postage stamp.
Yeah.
On top of the rug.
So we had to lift up the carpeting, go underneath, and so that our restorers could
sew through
the rug and the carpet. And that's what the Frick Museum wanted. They wanted it to be secure,
right?
So that there's no tripping hazard because of all
public space. Yeah.
So that was a pretty good experience, both with Pierpont Morgan and the Frick that I was involved with. with you as well. But tell us about some other museum projects that you've done in the past.
Yeah, well, I had a lot of experience with a lot of museums around the country. We've done work, me personally, at a lot of the historic houses up in Newport, Rhode Island. There was a museum, a Vanderbilt museum in Asheville, North Carolina. We did a lot of work down there. I think the common thread was my great-grandfather sold the rugs to these beautiful historic. So if you go to the Breakers up in Newport, which is the most famous house up in Newport, 60% of the rugs that are antique rugs on the floor, my great-grandfather sold the rugs to the Vanderbilts at that time.
Wow.
So we've always had like a connection with the Newport Preservation Society. That same thing happened. I had gotten called to go out to San Simeon in out by San Francisco. Actually, it's south of Carmel. So if you go down Carmel area, you drive about an hour south. There's the William Randolph Hearst Castle. It's called the Hearst Castle, San Simeon. And all the rugs there, every rug in that house came from my great-grandfather. They were friends. So he sold every rug. And I got a call to restore a rug, a Kerman rug, a Lavaire Kerman. When I went out there, I mean, the rug was probably 20 by 12, and 50% of the rug was worn to the foundation threads. 50% of the rug. And I looked at them, I'm like, this is going to cost a lot of money it's going to take over a year to restore.
Yeah.
And they're like, well, we have a budget, we are run by the state of California. So I agreed to do the job for a nominal fee because of our family's history. And in exchange, we were able to use the job. We used to
for marketing.
Yeah, we used to document the jobs.
Yeah.
Before, during, and we used to use it for marketing. And they agreed. They agreed, and it took a year. But the outcome was amazing. And funny enough, every several years, I get an old Lavaire Kerman in, and I use that job as a template or to show the before and after what we can do.
Yeah.
So, in as much as at the time, we were doing it for I was doing it for historic purposes.
It all worked out.
It did.
Well, it's funny. In speaking of the history of the family, and a few years ago, we got called in to bid on the job at the Vanderbilt Museum, right
up New Hyde
north.
Park or something.
New Hyde Park, New York, which is northern New York. I went up there and took a look at the job, and impressive estate, right?
Beautiful house.
Now owned by the state now, or federal. I think it's federal. It's federally owned. Amazing. And you think about how people lived, in that house.
Right. That was their life.
Yeah.
But that was their country home.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Which they had a train that ran up there. It was amazing. And we walked the site, took some measurements, looked at the job, what the old, what we had to do to take up the old, the new. There's limitations. And they said, well, you have to submit a proposal through this federal site, or there's a process of.
It was complicated.
Very, right?
Yeah.
But then they said, oh, but your company. They said you guys are listed on our site said, what do you mean? I said, no, Costikyan's an approved vendor.
Right. For 100 years.
I said, we are? I didn't do that.
Yeah. When they built the house, you guys were.
So he goes, no, you guys are listed as an approved vendor to work here. So it's going to be easier to get you approved to come in.
Oh, nice.
So I said, great.
Yeah.
So, I'm sure your great grandfather had something to do with that one. But he got us a job so many years later.
Have you ever been to the Vanderbilt house out on Centerville, Long Island?
No. No.
Okay. So that would be the very first job I ever was part of, restoring antique rugs. I 1983, maybe. I was like 23, 24. And I got a call from the Vanderbilt Museum in Centerport, Long Island. Long Island. Diane Englot was the curator of the museum. And I went out there and I looked at all the rugs, and I ended up having to put together this complete presentation, and I had to meet with Nassau County, like some committee, 10 people. Imagine this, a 23, 24-year-old kid.
Yeah.
Like, I knew how to do this work, but I just never had the experience of going in front of, these are politicians, I guess. But my mother and I put together this amazing presentation, and sure enough, there were 8 rugs that we restored and cleaned. I'll never forget, that was the first job I ever did that like that. And we did, a lot of the work I did, like the cleaning, I did all the rugs.
Yeah.
I did all the rugs. But I do recall the most stressful job I ever had to clean a historic house. During the Reagan administration, now again, we're talking the 80s, we were doing work at the time at a museum down in Coral Gables called Vizcaya. And it was the John Deering estate. And we got a call that we needed to have a rug picked up and back within 30 days for a special event. I was like, okay, well, we'll send a crew down there to roll it up. We'll bring it up to New York, and we'll clean the rug, and we'll have it back in time. Of course, I'll do that. Yeah. So the rug was a 16th century Spanish carpet that was silk embossed, metallic threads, very, very delicate, very delicate. And, over the course of a week, when I cleaned that rug, I was just doing a little at a time, because you have to be very careful, and in the meantime, I'm trying to run a business.
Yeah.
So, but I didn't trust anybody else to do the job, right?
Yeah.
I wanted to do it myself. And, it took me about a week and finished the rug, crated it, sent it back down, went down, laid the rug out. And then within a month later, I'm watching the news, and lo and behold, I see Ronald Reagan and I think it was Pope John Paul at the time in the 80s,
Yeah.
the Polish guy,
Yeah.
having an audience on top of that rug. And I was like, whoa.
That's the rug I just washed.
That's the rug. And the rug at the time was valued at $3 million. So there was a little bit of pressure.
Yeah.
But, these are the type of things that through our history, right? So the history of the company, we were, Costikyan is a historic antique rug worldwide. It's not just the United States, around the world. In the turn of the century, Industrial Revolution, we made history in the antique rug business. And to this day, we find people come to us.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because of that history.
Yeah.
It happens all the time. Well, that's the end of another RugCast. Great talking and sharing.
It always is. Always great.
New stories all the time. Come and dust them off. You got to dust off the old stories. Have you heard that one before?
I have.
Okay. Well, maybe next episode I'm going to come up with a story you never heard. That's the goal of the RugCast.
I'm sure you'll do it.
This is Greg and Phil, the carpet kings from Queens.